It's late at night when a YouTuber named Single Aphel hears something just outside of his home. His curiosity outweighs his fear, and so he takes a camera outside with him to try and find the source. At least one person is sure this is a demon, but a lot of people are saying it's just a fox. Let me know what you hear. This video was taken in December, which does fall in line with the fox mating season. Still, it's kind of strange that the person living here claims to have never heard this before and doesn't know what it is. Here's another clip to help you analyze the source with me.
What is that noise?
Was this a fox or something much worse? Like the rake. Ethan Menard and his friend are out exploring when they find a long tunnel that gives off a creepy vibe when they are commenting on how dark the tunnel is and just trying to keep calm in general when suddenly a small child's voice chimes in somewhere behind them.
It's like pitch black in here.
The timing of this creepy small voice is quite a curious and morbid coincidence. It simply says hello at just the right moment during a pause in their conversation.
It's like pitch black in here.
Whether this was real or edited is up for you to decide, but I think there is a strong chance that something paranormal was down there. Why won't the ghost of this house cross over? YouTuber Eugene from Dark Mystic is here to find out. One of his Steadicams first observes the presence of something here. Soon Eugene hears it himself. Another Steadicam captures mysterious noises in another room, and it appears that something is moving. Later, that something falls to the floor. In that same room, a shadow shifts across the back hallway. Eugene is then given orders by the resident ghost.
Молчи. Не ори.
Eugene doesn't seem to be taking the spirit seriously, but I wouldn't be able to keep quiet either. I'd definitely scream. Shortly after moving into their new apartment, this couple began to feel watched, so they installed a camera in the bedroom. A few nights later, they record a full-grown adult standing outside of their window. At first, he is so focused on staring into their bedroom that he doesn't even seem to notice or care about how obvious he stands out against the well-lit parking lot. When the couple inside walks closer to the window and gets on the bed, he tries to be a little more cautious but fails miserably. It's pretty obvious that he is still there and eagerly looking straight at them. He is about as close to the window as he can be, and he is probably really getting into the idea of watching them without being seen himself, not knowing that he himself is on camera. They can see him the entire time, and this is the exact moment that the boyfriend goes out and confronts the man, who quickly stands up and shows no aggression as he walks away. It turns out to actually be their neighbor next door. He came over and apologized the next day, but something tells me that this is a compulsion that he cannot help, and soon enough he will be back at it again, if not with them, then with someone else. The world is filled with lost radio signals from long ago. One of these many mystery stations was this broadcast from East Germany that started in the 1970s. We still don't know what it was, only that it sounded like it could drive a person to madness if they listened for long enough. Every so often, the overwhelming wall of noise would give way to a group of men singing in twisted voices. Maybe it's just me, but this almost sounds like some kind of ancient ritual or chant. The broadcast abruptly stopped in 1990 after about 20 years. Give me your best guess as to what this broadcast was used for, because I haven't the slightest clue. Here's another video from the mysterious Menjur Hotel. A woman is bored and giving a brief tour of her room when suddenly a paranormal presence makes itself known.
Hello? Mike?
She waits for a tense moment, hoping that her boyfriend Mike is playing a prank nearby. When nobody answers her, she bravely opens the door and looks into the other room. Here's what she finds.
What? Nuh-uh. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Something has dumped all of her possessions onto the floor in a quick fit of rage. While it's possible that she could have done this herself, it's also quite possible that this really was a paranormal encounter, especially when you consider that fires, missing things, and other strange happenings have become the norm over the years at this hotel, which was also built over the famous Alamo battle site. While investigating the Englefield Green Social Hall, YouTube team Southern Ghost Society captures some clear poltergeist activity. Listen closely for the EVP. I'm not sure what that sound was, but another camera manages to capture it from a different angle.
What's that? Boy. What? This table just went. Holy no.
It sounds to me like a door creaks and then something bangs loudly nearby. We can't see anything in the darkness, so I'd be curious to find out if anything was moved once the lights were turned back on. Regardless, this does seem to me to be paranormal. A restaurant worker named Bogues182 says that he uploaded this video from his place of work. Some trays clatter to the ground when nobody is around. I guess he thought it was weird enough to check the tapes later that night. This is what he and the work crew saw. I suppose that someone could have been off camera throwing trays, but I'm not sure exactly where they would be standing when this happened, if that were the case. These men tried all means to rid their friend of a demonic possession, published by Cacadores das Sombras, which translates to Shadow Hunters in April of 2021. The crew sets out on a mission to complete a satanic ritual. As the guys are driving down a dirt road in a rural area, they pass a guy walking on the side of the road. It turns out that it's their friend Lucas.
Oh, Lucas.
They slow to a stop shortly after, and the driver has his door open. Bad idea. Lucas lunges into the car at him and attempts to grab him. He seems possessed. They tie him up and throw him into their back seat. When they arrive at their destination, they find a pentagram with candles lit at all the points. They place the man into the middle of the pentagram, and it seems he can't escape it. He is whipping around out of control but still lucid at times. They light one last candle on one of the pentagram's points. Lucas is later kneeling, growling, and bent forehead to the floor at the center of the pentagram.
É, olha lá, olha lá. Você vai sair dele ou não vai?
He appears in a fit of some sort. After a while, the man holding the camera loses his patience with the possessed man.
Sai, Thor! Solta, Thor!
It doesn't meet its mark. One of the crew calms the cameraman outside, and a ruckus is heard inside shortly after. They return to find Lucas lying sideways on the ground, still at the center of the pentagram.
Ô Marquinhos, sai daí, mano, sai daí.
Ele torceu, velho.
Quê?
Ele torceu assim a cabeça, gritou e caiu no chão, mano.
Ô Lucas.
Viu alguma coisa? Não fiz nada, mano.
What happened to him? Did the ritual work? Although he continued to remain still and silent at the end of the video, I hope he is free from his possession. What's beneath your floorboards? This clip was originally posted by TikTok user Unfortunate Existence. The TikToker was replacing her carpets in her home when she came across a secret trap door captioned, "When you pull the carpet off your floor and find a basement you never knew about." The footage reveals that the secret door led into a secret cellar. Admittedly, the creepiest thing about discovering a hidden room in your home is the question of why that room was kept hidden, but we'll get to that only after we've explored it. The basement is equipped with a set of wooden stairs, so it looks as though its location was known by the past tenant or owner and the basement was used. The TikToker captures her first descent into the secret room on video. There's nothing much in the room but a bucket in one corner, a garbage bag that appears to be empty under the stairs, an old chair and desk behind the stairs, and a disassembled bed frame. There's also a large red liquid splatter on one side of the room, which the TikToker calls a little concerning. She notes that it doesn't smell decent down there. When all appears to be relatively normal, the cellar light suddenly switches on, throwing a wrench into her investigation. Does someone know that she's there? That's more than a little concerning. This YouTube clip serves as video evidence of just how daring some people can be, or brave, if you look at it the other way. The footage is likely recorded in Russia's Far East, where a large population of bears roam free, bears that have been known to wander into residential areas. In the video, one of these bears has done just that. A big brown bear is seen pacing around an empty lot, while a Russian man just sits calmly on a bench, not making the faintest effort to move or protect himself. In fact, he seems completely unfazed by the wild animal just feet from him. Surprisingly, the wild bear seems more scared of the Russian than this man is of the bear. As the bear roams closer toward him, he suddenly darts away. Though the man never moves an inch, while most people would be shaking in their britches in an all-out panic when within sight of a bear, this Russian man doesn't flinch. Maybe we can learn something from him. If you should ever be unfortunate enough to encounter this wild animal, it's best not to panic. Just don't be as nonchalant as this guy. If you fear snakes, you might want to hide under the covers for this one. YouTuber Falcon X-Ray published this footage in November of 2015 with the description, "Just started cleaning the pool for summer, came home and found a snake having a swim cooling down from the heat. The snake looks to be about 4 feet long and is quite thick. The snake is shown circling the pool's edge, probably trying to find its way out. Once or twice it does creep its head up the wall of the pool, but it doesn't make it very far. While the snake's slithering movements in the water are creepy enough, one wonders if this breed is poisonous. What kind of snake is it, whatever the monster is?" The uploader said that he built a cage and kept it. Don't know if I'd want to keep that thing in my home, but I'm sure he's happy with his new pet. Is this creature a Nina Pero like the Spanish-speaking YouTube community thinks, or is it something even more nefarious? This video was taken in Mexico. This creature is seen scrambling down the sidewalk on all fours, and not just for a brief moment. Other security cameras capture it continuing the four-legged walk all around the premises. It is seen scrambling around the building and navigating a narrow alleyway beside the home. While most in the comments are confused about what is going on here, a Redditor writes, "Somehow this is way more unsettling than all the cryptid clips I've seen. Cryptid or not, it certainly makes you feel uneasy. Build it and they will come, but maybe you don't really want them to come after all. Published by Grant Kopek in October of 2020, something creepy calls this cornfield home. Captured on a Ring camera, a homeowner is seen walking outside at night on the farm, but appears not to notice the enormous creature escaping from the cornfield in the background. As the man walks past, the large blurred figure moves from the cornfield toward a big garage to the left. It disappears behind some shadow in the background. Many in the comments think this is a ghost or an extraterrestrial, while others think it's simply a reflection from the man's jacket, although it very well could be the latter. YouTuber Master of None offers some great advice for the farmer. Don't sleep ever again. If I lived beside that cornfield, I'd have to say I'd be doing the same thing. This mysterious capture by YouTuber Gillian Rocher leaves me with many questions. Rocher explains in the description that she saw this strange man outside her window marking a tree.
Nakita niya yung lalaki. Meron siyang pinapahid sa puno. Tago lang tayo onti. Meron Doberman. Ano yung ginagawa niya sa puno? Loko to.
The man can be seen doing something to the tree for a time before grabbing his dog's leash.
Anong plano mo? Anong inaano mo dyan sa puno, ha?
After the stranger left, the YouTuber went to investigate.
So yan yun. Ano yung ginawa niya kanina rito?
It looks like the guy scraped the bark from one side of the tree, leaving a mark, but for what purpose is still unclear. I'm not sure where this video is filmed, but YouTuber BioCyber suggests that the strange man is a Russian sleeper agent marking a target. This is where my head went to, although I wasn't specifically thinking Russian. This may be a spy or agent marking this site for himself or other agents to later find. What do you think is going on here? This urban exploration video comes to you from Thailand, and the title of this video roughly translates into English as Abandoned House in the Middle of the Forest No One Dared to Explore. This modest looking home holds some strange and bizarre things that are worth taking a closer look at. Secrets I doubt we can explain. He stumbles upon an oversized shoe print. Translate his observations if you can.
นี่ก็น่าจะเป็นตรงนี้เป็นไม้ครับแต่ตรงนี้ผมสังเกตดูว่ามันจะมีเหมือนรอยเท้า
In the next room are two equally old footprints, even bigger and wider now.
แล้วข้างในก็จะเป็นโอ้คุณผู้ชมนี่ผมมีรอยเท้าด้วยครับผมมีรอยเท้าด้วยครับผม
The same person has apparently removed their shoes to walk barefoot for some reason across this disgusting floor. It's like they grew out of their shoes or something, almost like a bizarre transformation took place. Some people are saying that this is an unfinished house, while others say this looks like a crematorium. I don't know why either one would be in the middle of the forest, but I do know this is a creepy situation that I hope we can piece together and better explain. Years ago, I analyzed a video of a giant humanoid creature seen roaming the desert in Portugal. Well, new evidence of the creature is making fresh rounds on the internet, and this photograph supposedly shows what it eats, which unfortunately is us. A strong-looking man with a crew cut and fatigues is no match against this creature, as it pulls him towards its open maw. He is not wearing civilian clothing. If anything, his outfit matches those worn at the Special Ops base, where the original video was taken. All of the finer details of the creature seem to match as well. The dramatic bend of the back leg compared to the more developed upper arms, its cone-like head, its unnatural slouch are all there, and according to this picture, it's apparently a Cyclops creature as well. Of course, there's a good chance that this is photoshopped, If it was real, I think that there would be an accompanying video, or at least more than one picture. If anything, for the sake of the person about to be devoured, I really hope this isn't real. A YouTube channel called Sailing Latitude is boating around the Italian island of Sardinia when a freak lightning storm breaks overnight, forcing them into survival mode. They try to outrun the storm at first, but the winds are much too strong and soon lightning is breaking directly overhead. Aside from getting zapped, a single bolt would be enough to fry their navigation equipment and leave them completely stranded at sea. The experienced navigator is able to visually estimate 2 areas where lightning is striking the most, and they sail between these 2 areas skillfully. In other words, they basically have no choice but to steer between 2 storms, and in doing so they almost get trapped in the storm multiple times, like here at 10 minutes and 15 seconds for example. To make matters worse, the winds could change at a moment's notice and bring the storm clouds even closer. Somehow they just barely managed to sail through the little pocket of clear weather, well flanked between 2 storms. Hours later, a calm sunrise greets them, as if it was all just a bad dream. A solid stream of worm-like invaders moves in unison across the forest floor, while a dog whines with fear. Listen to the noises their dog makes, and try to tell me it's not warning them to get far away. There's got to be some kind of logical explanation in nature for this, but it sure looks like the start of a parasitic invasion to me. And when another canine joins in, I can't help but suspect this group has discovered something they'll soon wish they had never come across. Obviously the animals are on guard, but from what exactly is my question? A parenting channel called the Mommy Wayopedia has thousands of subscribers who are looking for heartwarming family videos. Paranormal content is not what they seek, and I don't think she's playing around when she uploaded a rather realistic ghost sighting video for fans to analyze. So here's the background story on this video. She's been seeing some weird things on CCTV camera for the past week or so, but never had the phone nearby to record and doesn't have a memory card for the camera, so she waited near the CCTV monitor for a couple of days for the paranormal entity to return, and this creepy sighting of a mysterious figure is what she has since caught on camera. The mother tries to keep the fear out of her voice as she tells her son to keep reading a book out loud.
You read the book, baby.
Okay.
She doesn't want to scare him. She can't take her eyes off what she sees. Seated on the ground facing the courtyard on the first floor is this exquisitely eerie ghost sighting. A woman with long hair and a gown. She's across from the main entrance waiting for them to come out. The see-through figure does not move, but look closely and at 10 seconds, you'll see this object across from the ghost is moving all by itself, or maybe it's the wind. The Mommy Wayopedia has no idea what this ghost wants from her or her family, and is seeking advice on what to do next. I would say this is a camera glitch, but she's been seeing it on different monitors across different places, so it appears to be an actual ghost. With that in mind, the only thing left to do is either confront it or hope it goes away, and I'm not sure if either is going to get her any peace. A spirit pulls a member of the YouTube team, Kaza Sobrenatural, down a staircase in this scary video. Upon first entering the haunted place, they hear something, and they discover a rope tied to a wooden beam overhead.
A gente acabou de escutar os passos ali. Calma, Der. Tá muito iluminado ali, acho que não. Normal. E a corda continua aqui, aquela corda, cara, que tinha aqui, ó. Parecia que uma pessoa tava querendo se enforcar. Aqui.
Is that a noose? As they continue their search of the place, they hear a voice.
Escutou a voz aqui, ó? Olha lá. Escutou a voz?
Credo, Sandro.
They hear something again and start to head upstairs.
Sério, cara, não tô falando assim.
O que foi isso? Meu Deus. Pega uma lentando, o que foi isso? Vamos lá.
Nossa, não, aqui eu sei, aqui. Imagina.
But they soon wish they wouldn't have.
Pegar aí.
Vamos sair daqui.
Nossa, pegar aí.
Vamos sair daqui.
Ô, cara! Meu Deus do céu, Sam! Que cara? Ô, velho! O que aconteceu, Lucas? Ô, Lucas!
What just dragged this crew member down the stairs? If it is indeed a spirit, I wouldn't be following it downward. It may be leading this team to the fiery depths below. It's late at night, well past closing hours, when the St. George's Theatre in Norfolk catches this mysterious disturbance on CCTV. It starts as small movements in the very corner of the far window, so slight at first that you hardly notice it's there until it leaves, only to return again and dart down the hall. At 28 seconds, it stops to look in through another window for 4 more seconds, then it's gone for good. Is this phantom nurse here to heal you or to hurt you? Published by Luan Mendez in May of 2020. Luan and his crew are exploring an abandoned hospital whose staff hasn't really left. Wandering the halls, they seem to turn down one hallway where they seem to spot something skulking in the darkness. The thing must have disappeared, so they move on, continuing in their search, and that's when they see her, Nurse Ratchet.
Que é isso? Ai, meu Deus! Que é isso?
They race away as fast as they can, and one of the crew falls unexpectedly to the ground. It almost looks like he was clotheslined by something invisible. The crew manages to make it out of the hospital alive, and that's no thanks to the creepy phantom nurse. Our next entry reunites us with Dark Ghost, a Russian paranormal investigator who has encountered some truly terrifying entities. However, this latest video quite possibly takes the cake in what he himself describes as the scariest house he has investigated. An email with coordinates brought Dark Ghost to the location in question. According to the message's text, the girl who sent it claimed an elderly couple once resided there and experienced countless disturbing occurrences, mainly from the home's basement. Among them were unexplained noises, including full conversations and something attempting to open the basement from below. After the couple passed, the home was inherited by their relatives. However, they refused to move in, and the home has been abandoned ever since. Dark Ghost's investigation starts off quiet, and he states he hasn't experienced anything, and it is already reaching 11:30 p.m. He then proceeds to set up stationary cameras, and that is when the activity starts. Not long after he leaves the room, the static cam witnesses a glass move on its own, sliding close to the edge of the shelf it is on. None of the other glasses are disturbed, and it wasn't knocked by anything, as it wouldn't slide in such a manner if it were. It is almost as if something is either pushing or pulling it. It is then tipped off the edge and breaks. Dark Ghost was in the middle of explaining to his camera what he did when he heard the glass break, and that's when things get really crazy. Without warning, the entire house begins to aggressively shake, enough to send bricks collapsing from the ceiling. This lasts only a few seconds before ending just as suddenly. Dark Ghost, well stunned, thankfully is uninjured and moves in to assess the damage. As he is inspecting the kitchen, where the static camera is, he is startled by what sounds like a floorboard being pushed up, followed by several loud bangs from the other room. They sound either like a fist pounding against a wall or floor, or very heavy footsteps, but it is difficult to tell. Inspired by what has happened, Dark Ghost decides to start an EVP session in an attempt to communicate with whatever is there.
Кто вы?
He starts by asking if anyone from the spirit world is present, and despite receiving no immediate answer, eventually the device comes back with "help us." He continues to press for the entity to identify itself, and soon after it responds with, "We've been trapped." When asked where, it responds, "He trapped us down here." Earlier, when Dark Ghost heard the floorboard move, it has been covered in rubble. It again requests help and asks Dark Ghost to open the basement. However, 30 seconds after this request, something else appears to come through and say, "Don't open it," followed by, "They're lying." Clearly, there are multiple spirits communicating, each with contradicting requests. After several more requests to open the basement, an entity replies with a chilling phrase, "I will deliberately eat your heart." By now, it is clear one of the entities there has malicious intent against Dark Ghost, and while he initially states he will not open the basement, and receiving some talk back as a result, curiously gets the better of him and he decides to lift the floorboard and venture down. At first, he attempts to use an RC car fitted with a camera, but unfortunately the camera battery dies. Despite his better judgment, he ventures down himself. After a few minutes of crawling without incident, he stumbles across a small bone in the dirt. As he takes a closer look, a sudden noise as if something hitting metal can be heard in front of him. At the same moment on his static camera, left to hold to the basement, a shadow figure can be seen against the cupboards in the kitchen. As it vanishes, he emerges and claims to have heard hissing from below. As he is working to get the boards back in place, a very loud hiss sends him rushing out of the hole. This proves to be all he can take, and all for his safety, he returns the board to the floor and decides to leave it for the night. Something in the home clearly wants out, and to cause harm, but one must wonder who the other poor soul trapped with it is, willing to warn others not to fall for the lies the other spirit says. This live recording was shot somewhere in the country of Turkey. The news report itself starts out normally enough until a bystander notices an object in the distance and points it out to the rest. A group soon gathers around to gawk at what appears to be a large amount of UFOs in the sky. The fact that the video ends before anything else happens makes me think that it could be fake, or maybe an electronic disturbance jammed the cameras. If anyone in Turkey knows more about this video, please let me know. Beam Me Up Scotty, published to YouTube in June of 2019. This CCTV footage reveals a possible spirit captured on video in Port Moresby that same year. The footage shows an intersection that looks to be on the outskirts of the city, probably from restaurants or shops that are still open at night. Street lamps illuminate the roadway, blinking on and off as a truck turns at the crossroads. Then something strange and out of place appears. On one corner of a median, a ghostly glowing mist manifests before rising upwards and out of sight. On closer inspection, the small figure appears humanoid, glowing at its core. But what is it, and where did it go? What happens when the music stops? Published by Unsai1 in May of 2021. This ghost hunter was in such fear for his life that he left all his gear behind. Upon entering this abandoned school, Unsai1 first encounters a haunting sound coming from downstairs.
무슨 소리야 이게 자꾸? 들려?
He goes in search of it and seems to at last find it, but there's no one there. Later, he thinks something is stalking him.
걔는 지금 날 따라다녀. 언제 나올지 모르겠어.
And his EMF meter starts going crazy. He sets up some motion detectors, which are also triggered. After a while, even the creepy music box near the exit starts chiming in.
나왔어. 뭐야? 갑자기 왜?
He starts to think many spirits are gathering in the room. As all the devices start to go off at once, fearing for his life, he flees, screaming all the way. Then he gathers enough courage to go back. The music box is still chiming all the way down the spooky hallway. When he arrives back at the room, he's peering inside when something is thrown from another direction.
나라고? 나 아닐 텐데?
It seems his return made the congregated spirits angry. What would you do if you saw this floating over your neighborhood? Shared by YouTuber EXTV, this video is trending in the Brazilian-speaking YouTube community. It looks like a scene straight out of Netflix's Stranger Things. In fact, it is. But it's not what it seems. When I dug into its origins, I found the freaky floating figure featured on CBS Chicago's news channel. But how did they get her to float? The TikToker @HorrorProps, who's responsible for the epic Halloween display, just shared how they did it only days ago. It appears to be a wire connected to a telephone pole. Well, I gotta say, that is certainly a crafty way to pull off something like this. Nevertheless, if I saw this while walking down the street, I would still be terrified. It's 3 a.m. when a YouTuber named Spencer Smith goes exploring an abandoned mental asylum that looks haunted as can be. Most of the entrances have been sealed off and it seems like their paranormal investigation is over before it even has a chance to go wrong. But that's when they hear scary noises in the darkness.
That was not a dog. That is not a dog, listen. That's not a dog. Well, we're savages, let's go. Mate. Oh no, bro, oh my god.
I don't have the slightest clue what that animal could be, but I don't think it was a dog, so maybe it is supernatural. Anyway, they eventually find a doorway that's in complete shambles. Before they get a chance to step through, the camera goes out of focus for a few scary moments before they hear what I agree sounds like a footstep going up the nearby stairs. Stairs which clearly nobody is standing on.
Was that a footstep there? Was that an actual footstep?
They step through the doorway and are too busy investigating from room to room to realize they've already caught a ghost face in the window. At 12 minutes and 37 seconds, it's a scary face looking down and to the right. More of a demon sighting caught on tape than a ghost face in the window. They only see one apparition during this moment, but I actually see two. The other is a man peering in through the bottom left corner of the window. You can see his facial features most clearly during this moment, in which you can make out a sharp nose, thin lips, and no visible eyes. They record the rest of the asylum without much incident, and soon find themselves standing at a different entrance than the one they came through. They look down and notice they've almost fallen into a hole that leads into a drainage system, and as they laugh, something scary happens in return.
We'll go through that instead.
It's hard to hear at first, but it seems they've actually caught another unexplained footstep on camera shortly before they ran away, this time coming from within the drain. Is someone there? Posted to the Ghosts subreddit. Resurrect writes, The Desoto mine in Arizona is the creepiest place I've ever been. At the time this was taken, nobody else was there. Yet listen closely to their recording. From deep within the mine, you can hear footsteps walking on what sounds like wooden planks. The Redditor says in the video that his eyes are playing tricks on him, but he writes that they didn't hear anything but water droplets at the time. They only heard the footsteps later as they watched the recording back.
I really hope it's not my eyes playing with me, but...
Is something in this tunnel with them? Some in the comments think it's paranormal. Others suggest the water droplet theory, which is that the echoing of water droplets can distort to the point that they sound like other sounds. What do you think? Is this nothing but distorted water droplets? Or is something at the end of that dark tunnel? A YouTuber named The Inception of Yara Phoenix captures a scary moment on camera while exploring India. While doing some kind of construction work, a member of this crew holds a spike in place while another swings a heavy hammer a few feet from his head. The man is leaning away as far as he can, but with no helmet and no other kind of protection, not even a barrier to keep pedestrians from walking into him. It really does seem like a matter of time before something really scary happens. Take a listen for yourself.
And he's one miss and you're...
Those are some heavy blows that there would be no recovering from if a mistake were to happen. I can only imagine how scary it would be to be working in that position, putting your life in the hands of somebody else who you probably barely know, hearing the sound of the hammer coming so close over and over again. This scary moment caught on tape is no doubt 100% real, and this is exactly what makes it so terrifying. There's nothing more disturbing than the sound of an unexpected and unknown siren. What could possibly be impending? A tornado tearing through the town? What are we being warned about? Posted by Epic Memer Boy 0123 to the Chills Narrator subreddit, the uploader writes that he started to hear sirens randomly midday. In the clip, the sirens sound quite high-pitched, almost like a car horn beeping long and restlessly. Several in the comments suggest it's a test siren of some kind, either for tornado warnings or other emergencies. The Redditor clarifies that it lasted for around 10 to 15 minutes. Superman Connor writes, that definitely sounds too long to be a tornado siren then. When the Redditor mentions that a friend said it was an air raid siren, Superman responds those only last about 30 seconds. It seems the Redditor isn't the only one suffering from unknown siren syndrome. The Wastelander 96 writes, something similar happened near here a couple nights ago when the sirens just went off for like 10 to 15 minutes and then just stopped. Perhaps it is an emergency siren that they are testing, but for a different kind of emergency. Wonder what that could be. When you have video proof from not one, but 3 angles, it's hard for paranormal deniers to say it's all in your head. Posted by one Ocelot4 to the Ghosts subreddit. The Redditor caught the strange shadow in his kitchen on a security camera. He said the window shutters were down and nothing in the kitchen was turned on. He also mentioned in the comments that he sometimes feels cold spots in the hallway, and his security camera often goes off when he leaves the house. Whether you believe in the paranormal or not, the following footage is hard to explain. The clip shows a large, dark shadow flash past, falling over the kitchen entryway for just a moment. Not only has the uploader captured this footage from one vantage point, but he has all 3 cameras on it, and they all show the creepy shadow flicker past. What in the world could be creating this terrifying effect? Those in the comments have plenty of theories. Redditor Mr. Mesquite says it's obviously a ghost writing. Very harmless unless you are harmed. Good luck. While many note that it could be something casting the shadow from outside through the windows, the Redditor reiterates that the shades are closed. So who do you choose to believe? Is there a practical explanation? Or should this Redditor bring in a medium and scope out the situation? As another Redditor suggests, Whatever happens, I don't think I'd be entering that kitchen for a while. Picture this, it's early morning when you hear this outside your window. Published by Golfwagon in April of 2020. What would you think if this was your morning greeting? The repeated noise coming from a distance sounds like a mysterious metallic roar. It continues for nearly the entire length of the 2-minute video. The sounds don't seem to be happening at the same interval, so that makes some in the comments think its source is not, in fact, mechanical. Many commenters from all over the world, from Serbia to Indonesia to South Korea, claim to have heard similar sounds. Some believe it's atmospheric, others think it's sonar, and still others say it sounds like a living thing. Do you think it's a sign of the end of times? If so, you'd better hope you're prepared. Dennis Allen takes an inner tube down the local creek. It's something he's done often before, but this time it's raining and the currents are stronger than he has ever seen. Still, Dennis is confident in his abilities and bravely sets forward. The ride starts out gentle enough, but soon picks up speed as he moves into more open waters. Soon he really begins to regret not bringing a paddle, as he is carried through low-hanging branches and other thorny obstacles. He manages to keep his balance for about 5 minutes, until it becomes apparent that he can no longer hold on.
Oh shoot, this is dangerous.
He is carried downstream and eventually clings to a bridge while water rushes beneath him. Dennis seems to be trying to stay calm, but I can detect some fear in his voice, perhaps more than he is meant to let on. He quickly realizes pulling himself out of the water is going to be a lot harder than he initially thought.
Oh, this was something stupid. Oh shoot.
Dennis slowly works his way to the shallow end, without letting go, and eventually he climbs out with the help of a nearby bridge pole. Looking down, you can see he was clearly not exaggerating the danger. The current is strong enough to pull a full-grown man under. A person with an interest in graveyards is casually filming when they accidentally pick up a bizarre and possibly dangerous watcher. You can see a blurry shadow as it takes a few steps out from the other side of a wall, but the person recording doesn't seem to notice. It wasn't until much later that they reviewed the video and found the hidden lurker in the distance. I personally think that this could be CGI because the resolution of the video seems to have been lowered, which is always a sign of amateur effects. Then again, the person recording may have been using a cheap camera. Or maybe this is an older video. Raptor125 puts on a GoPro cam and takes his dirt bike out to make a YouTube video. It isn't long before he sees a familiar gray truck, the same one that chased him away from this area just the other day. He is only riding for about 2 full minutes when he sees the same truck again, much closer this time. Fearing for his life, Raptor125 speeds out of the neighborhood and onto a dirt track, the gray truck on his tail the whole time. Not even sharp turns at high speeds are enough to get the vehicle off him, and Raptor125 has little doubt that this person has the worst intentions possible waiting for him if he slows down. If he falls off his bike at this moment, for example, then there wouldn't be enough time for the driver to swerve out of the way. The chase only ends when a farmer watching the whole thing stops the truck. Otherwise, who knows how far this chase would have gone. Maybe to the ghosts were the scary ones. Published by Paranormal Boys in September of 2021. This unexpected poltergeist activity scared this crew to their wits' end. The short clip shows everyone panicking as a foundry door opens of its own accord. They all scream as they watch the door stand ajar for a moment before slowly closing again. Did this paranormal crew just scare the living daylights out of a ghost? As YouTuber Jojo Cannon writes, I bet that ghost was like WTF dudes. I couldn't agree more. This place is terrifying. YouTuber Terror Alex Streamo encountered tons of paranormal activity at this haunted playground. First, they hear children's voices in the darkness, and then they see a swing swinging on its own.
Ay, mira, hijo. Ay, mira. ¿Qué pasó, pa? Mira. Ay, mira, hijo. Ay, mira. ¿Qué pasó, pa? Mira.
Next, another childlike voice is heard.
No manches. No manches.
Then something bangs against the roof above.
Whoa.
And the children's voices are heard again.
Pues es algo ilógico, ¿no? O sea, no está haciendo bastante aire como para que se esté moviendo de esa manera.
No, pues no está haciendo aire, hijo.
And again here.
Y mira, ahorita está como si nada.
Finally, they capture something visible on camera. Later, another figure is moving through the tall brush.
Algo va pasando, ¿ya viste?
I'm not sure if the figure is a child, but the voices throughout the video definitely sound like it. Is this a case of the urban legend of black-eyed children? I wouldn't get near enough to find out. Is my house haunted? Writes a user named BB5432 on the haunted subreddit. This paranormal video of their place was caught on a neighbor's doorbell cam across the street, who later showed it to her out of concern. It doesn't look like much at first, but there's actually a lot of creepy things going on in this video that you might not see. But first, let's start with the basics. The Reddit poster claims her house was completely dark when these mysterious, unexplained lights started flashing all around the door. The television in the living room was not on, she says, and even if it were on, it's facing the opposite way at an angle that would not create this effect at all. Whether or not to believe her is up to you. I do, because the flashing seems too bright for a television and takes up the whole window at times. Nobody would watch a television screen that bright because it would undoubtedly hurt to look at for that long. And at 25 seconds, the creepy light grows even brighter and does not subside until the video ends. BB5432 later posted, she has no further reason to think their house is haunted, but still struggles to explain what this was if not a ghost. She adds the same thing happened to her years ago. The same neighbors showing her and her husband lights in their door, and nobody could figure it out then either. Someone said they should check the electrical wiring in that room, which I agree is a good move. But other than that, everyone else says this is super weird, and even she has to admit she's creeped out. There's also one more weird thing that I wasn't even going to mention, except she saw it too. A shadow figure in the doorway. You can see it whenever the lights go down, but it's probably most apparent at 4 seconds. I took a still image and zoomed in. Here it is with no special effects whatsoever. The outline of a shadow figure looking out the window. Tell me if you can see it too. I'd say that house is haunted, if that's not a resident. The next time you shower, don't look up. Published by Tallahasse in March of 2022, this creepy video shows what could be the hair in your drain come to life. The clip shows a shower curtain pulled to the side, while up in the corner near the ceiling is this extraterrestrial-like critter. It looks spidery, but with even more legs than usual. It somehow also looks like a great pile of tangled hair. What do you think this is? I think it's time to throw the whole house away. Mackie Albertson is a ghost hunter exploring haunted places full of skinwalker sightings to further investigate strange rumors of unknown creatures in the area. She's standing on ancient burial grounds when the bizarreness begins.
This place is honestly so creepy. Just the feeling here is just eerie. Like, it's not super scary, it's just eerie.
A voice in the dark sounds human, and moments before she gets creeped out.
So basically, what had happened was
she's actually caught a ghost orb on camera.
This place is honestly so creepy.
That's when she has a creature sighting of her own, or so she says.
Oh my gosh, there's a coyote, there's a coyote. There's a coyote. There's a coyote.
She very well could have seen a shape-shifting skinwalker taking animal form. The camera goes out of focus like something is charging at her. This is the only time it happens.
Hello, is someone here? Save me.
Plus, when she comes back later to the same spot, she gets more evidence in the form of 2 scary paranormal EVPs.
Are there any skinwalkers in this area still?
Freaky, right? A YouTuber named Shavir Joffrey has been hearing loud knocks and other strange noises at night, so he decides to half-jokingly ghost search around his house for fun. Nothing happens until he starts talking about what he is going to do to the ghost when he catches it. Do you think this is paranormal or just a friend off camera?
You know, any ghost that comes in, game over, my... Did you hear that? Did you...
Okay, so that might not be enough to convince you, but as soon as they crack more jokes, they hear a slight scraping noise, kind of like somebody breathing through a straw, and this time it is right by them. I think there's another part that they might have missed. Do you hear someone take a breath here?
And be like, I think...
Redditor asserted skirted motion-activated cameras detected motion in the middle of the night, but it isn't something I've ever seen before. Keep an eye on the bottom of the garage door. Here it is again, more slowly. Something appears to slip beneath the garage door, but it looks like a shadow. My guess would be that this is an unknown shadow entity. The way the shadow reaches out is even tentacle-like. What do you think it is? A scary moment is caught on live TV for this Polish reporter who steps away from some screens and almost takes himself out. He's probably a few feet off the ground, which is a lot higher up than it sounds when you're free falling backwards. Fortunately, he recovers and keeps going with the story like a pro. Over a year ago, I briefly touched on the saga of Joseph Chanslom, a YouTuber who for years was haunted by a spirit from 2011 to 2014, but I didn't get to cover his whole story. 3 more videos in particular are worth getting into, but first I did some more research and discovered a blog with years worth of updates. Joseph first noticed an apparition within weeks of letting his girlfriend move into his apartment, so I suspect she may have brought something that had attached itself to her. Soon each of them felt constantly watched, especially in the shower of all places, and it got to the point where they both thought they were getting pranked by each other. But one day, as Joseph was taking a shower, he heard his girlfriend come into the bathroom. The topic was already on his mind, so he explained to her that he thought the apartment was haunted, but then the figure on the other side, the one who he thought was his girlfriend, disappeared mid-explanation. From that point on, Joseph began setting up his sole camera in different places to document the spirit, and that's when things ramped up to the next level. On April 16th, 2012, Joseph announces out loud to whatever's listening that he's turning in for the night.
So we're just going to film this area. I had, like I said, my lighting issues were horrible, so I'm leaving some lights on this time. So if there is anything, hopefully we'll catch it. Anyways, guys, have a good night. See you in the morning.
Orb activity begins at 2 minutes and 12 seconds, carries on for about 6 seconds, and then abruptly stops. The kitchen is eerily quiet for over 40 seconds, and then the stovetop burner turns on to its highest setting. This happens out of nowhere at the 3 minutes and 17 seconds mark, but at 3 minutes and 14 seconds, an orb shows up in front of the oven just 3 seconds before it turns on. Could this be the ghost in question caught on camera? Joseph was asleep, so this event could have burned the whole place down if anything was still on the burner, which is maybe what this ghost was trying to do all along. A full 7 months later, on November 28th of that same year, Joseph puts the camera up on a high ledge to show as much of his living room as possible, floor to ceiling. He again announces that he's going to bed and turns out the lights. It's 11:46 p.m.
Anyways, we'll see what we get and if we get anything. So I'll see you all in the morning and...
Everything looks normal for roughly 2 minutes until a shadowy movement materializes over by the entertainment center. It's hard to notice even when circled, but when you do see it, it looks way out of place. I don't think it's camera pixelation, because none of the other darker areas of the room are moving like this. And at approximately 2 minutes, a large, lonesome orb floats upwards from that part of the room and disappears. Exactly 10 minutes later, at 2 minutes and 12 seconds, this speaker falls over and lands not too far from where the orb originated from. Obviously, no one is around to knock it over, so if this is fake, how was it done? On October 1st, 2013, Joseph made his final YouTube video, letting everyone know he has moved to a new apartment. He thinks that changing his location has stopped the spirit, but considering it may have attached itself to his girlfriend when she first moved in, I'm not so sure it worked. This part at 4 minutes and 30 seconds further proves my point. It could be his camera making a squeaking noise while being adjusted, but it sounds a lot like the laughter of a small child.
But anyways, let's see if we can do it like this. There we go.
And when you compare it to his normal laugh, it's definitely not the same voice. And that's pretty much the last anyone's ever heard from him. The last update comes from his blog on July 25th, 2014, promising more videos that sadly never came. I don't know what happened to him, no one does, but suddenly dropping off at the height of your fame is not reassuring to say the least, and makes me wonder if something terrible happened. This one's a little difficult to see, but when you do, the payoff is worth it. A YouTuber named Past is exploring an abandoned property in Nottingham. Pay attention to the very last window during this clip. Even then, I doubt you'll see it. Now here it is again, with the paranormal sighting highlighted. Something very large appears to move quickly in the very last window. However, this window leads outside and is 2 floors from the ground. With this in mind, what could this moving object be? This paranormal investigator's first look into the haunted Bel Air house cemented its title as most haunted house in the US. What's more, the Bel Air spirits are aggressive. The following occurred in the seance room.
What the fuck? Something just pushed me off the chair. What? Something just pushed me off the chair. Are you kidding me? No, and it moved.
The chair also appeared to move on its own after Karen is pushed off of it. The team also believes they captured demonic laughter right before this incident. The basement door kept opening by itself, and they went down to check it out. As they leave the room, you can hear faint wheezing. Listen closely.
I can shine that light for at least on the stairs.
If it's that mad at you, I don't want to shut the lights off while you're doing that.
What was that? The team concludes that the spirit heard laughing was a mischief maker en route to the seance room to push Karen off her chair, while the laughter could be explained as one of the crew's wheezing as they walk toward the basement door. The fall off of the chair looks genuine. Either it's legit or well framed and well acted. I think it's real. What do you think? A truck driver checks his mirror just in time to see a dusty road hazard swirling his way. Try and translate this part, because I would love to hear his initial reaction word for word. The mini tornado dances all around and blocks the only exit. Getting out and running is probably not a good option because it could randomly change direction and come barreling his way. Now all he can do is stay inside and hope it doesn't move forward another 10 feet and rip off his door, which it looks strong enough to do. If you doubt its power, this bent streetlight says otherwise. After less than a minute, the tornado of dust dissipates moments before, raging through somebody's front door. We like to think that we'd somehow remain in control of any emergency, but all of this was random. His survival was based far more on chances than choices. Can a person passing away stop the clocks? This video posted by LMonkA7X to the Ghosts subreddit calls that into question. Monk explains in the comments that his partner was working the night shift at the hospital when a patient passed at 3:11 a.m. Porters arrived to transport the body around 45 minutes later. Not long after, a nurse was logging the passing in the computer when she observed a clock's hand spinning rapidly. The passing was logged into the computer at 4:10 a.m. and a minute later the clock stopped spinning at 4:11 a.m., exactly an hour after the man's passing. While Monk admits to ordinarily being a skeptic, his partner's reaction to what happened, as well as everyone else's in the ward, convinced him that this was no practical joke, this was real. All who paid witness to the odd timing were shaken up over it. Being that the clock is analog and not digital, Monk suggests it's strange that the clock stopped on the exact right time of day after going berserk. He also believes that the whole thing was paranormal, being that the clock's actions coincided with the passing of the patient and the processes surrounding it. What do you think? Coincidence or not? The people of Reddit are on both sides of the fence. Either way, the timing couldn't have been creepier. Yasa is exploring not a tunnel, not a cave, but a haunted well, as in a dark hole straight down. He gets strapped into a pulley system and slowly lowered into the claustrophobic entrance. Right away, he finds a snake at the bottom along with some other scary things that are way more concerning.
في شيء ترى هنا. بسم الله.
A toy blocks a small passage that he can't fit through, but a child can. Perhaps this is where the child who haunts this well crawled to after falling in. As he contemplates this possibility, something comes at him from behind.
المغارة هذه طويلة. هو كهف بس حرارة فيها غير طبيعي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
I think this is probably just part of the well, but it also kind of looks like the side profile of a boy's grinning face, rotten teeth and all. Residents in Tallahasse, Florida, feared for their lives when this strange and haunting sound echoed throughout their area for over 20 minutes.
It's not back that way, it's up in this corner. Don't go out there.
There's little doubt that this video is real, as you can hear the fear in the family's voices.
Get the kids in the bathroom.
I hear the wind.
Get the kids in the bathroom.
Get in the bathroom. Get.
I thought it was a tornado, but the person in the video doesn't. They called 911 and learned that police were apparently flooded with concerned complaints about the noise. The person who recorded this footage says that the local news was told to report this as an airplane. This doesn't really sound like an airplane to me. There's one other strange occurrence. a sudden flash of lightning that instantly makes the noise disappear.
If it is to get into this thing. Uh-oh, what was that? I don't hear it anymore, Tim.
I've never been in a tornado before, so I can't say if this video looks normal or not. I'm especially looking for opinions from people who have been in one. Do you agree with the uploader that this could have been something more than a tornado, like a government weather experiment? This extreme close-up of the moon captures an unknown object floating at what appears to be mere meters over the celestial body. Alexi_N shares this mysterious footage with the YouTube community. Can you guess what it is? In fact, it looks like something drifts down toward the moon from the floating object. Folks in the comments have some wild theories. Are extraterrestrials refueling on the moon, as some suggest? It's possible, but I think it could also be the International Space Station. Although the ISS is only 250 miles from the Earth, while the moon is 230,000 miles. In photographs, the ISS often looks much closer to the moon than it actually is. But even if it is the ISS, that doesn't really explain the object that appears to be traveling toward the moon from it. Additionally, the uploader has CGI videos on their channel. This one isn't marked as such, but there is still the possibility this is special effects. Share what you think in the comments. I'm torn on this one.
Look at that. What the heck?
Blake Newdorf is fishing with his dad on a pier in Kelowna, BC when he sees a giant creature off in the distance, at least 60 feet according to his estimate. Blake is sure that this is the famous Ogopogo lake monster. Apparently, it has some kind of sharp scales, from what he says here at 1 minute and 13 seconds.
It looks like it has spikes.
The camera is not good enough to pick up much detail aside from a basic outline. I think it kind of looks like it could be a piece of driftwood, but I guess at 60 feet long it would have to be a whole tree. Whatever it is, it floats around the bend where the water channels into a small bay. According to Blake, when they went around the corner to follow it, it was suddenly gone. Unfortunately, by that point, they had for some reason stopped recording. If what they are saying is true though, then this couldn't have been driftwood. Is something living in this underground train station? Posted on the r/ghosts subreddit by Ben Taylor. The scary video shows the behind the scenes nature of the underground at Crewe Station in the UK. As the Redditor and his friend walk through the station, mysterious haunting noises echo through the underground, like a creature is roaring or wailing, like an animal. The roaring repeats over and over. The boys walk through a fenced-in area and the sound gets louder, but its source isn't any more apparent.
It stopped. Do you not hear it? Stop.
Yeah.
The sound repeats and then changes a little, causing the cameraman to turn around and hightail it out of there. It stops for a moment but then continues again as they decide to retreat.
Come on, get out. I'm going because we've got to do tracks anyway.
The Redditor writes, the area was checked for dogs, animals, and even an injured security guard by transport police, as the noise was causing the staff to stay away from the area. No dogs, no humans, no pipes were there for the dog to stick its nose in. A howl down and security informed us nothing was found the next day, but the noise returned the next night. One Redditor in the comments, Nululus, says it might be a small deer species that's an invasive breed in the UK called the muntjac deer. Others still think it's an injured dog or a piece of machinery. but the Redditor seems to lean toward the paranormal, as he says other employees have heard strange noises and seen unexplained objects moving. We could make theories all day, but it's only the Redditor and his co-workers who witnessed it in person. So if they're saying it's paranormal, I think that explanation makes the most sense to me. You may think you're alone, but are you really? Posted to TikTok by Tallahasse, this one is bound to give you the heebie-jeebies. On what looks to be a stormy night, the TikToker is walking around an abandoned building when she spots this in the window. The dark-haired figure appears ghoulish, staring out at the passerby. What do you think this mystery figure wants, and who is it waiting for? This has either gotta be the paranormal or a very elaborate hoax. There's simply no in-between. Paris might be considered to be the fashion capital of the world, but it also has a much darker claim to fame, a series of underground tunnels extending for miles where over 6 million people have been buried. As if that isn't enough, one day a videotape was recovered from the depths of the catacombs that still has never been explained. The VHS footage was taken by a single brave person as they explored the twisting paths of the catacombs, miles and miles below the city. The lone traveler journeys as far down as he can stand, which was further than most would consider to have been safe. He often stops to curiously handle and examine ancient bones along the way. He's poking around one forgotten pathway that's about 6 miles under the city when he suddenly stops and grows very tense. His breathing becomes heavy as he begins to frantically search for a way out. The beginning of the video shows him acting calm and collected, but now he is sprinting through the catacombs in a panic, only slowing down to briefly decide on which path to take next. The more you watch, the more it feels like he is being chased by something off camera. Finally, he pauses for just 1 second, and then this happens. No one knows what could have caused him to drop his camera and run like that, but it couldn't have been anything good. His identity has never been revealed, and his body has never been found. With this in mind, it is quite possible that on one night he became the newest addition to the catacombs. A woman has a full-on break from reality while on public transportation. She carries a full conversation with herself in some sort of laughing tone that only she can understand. Then she becomes absolutely overwhelmed with grief before snapping out of it. When someone approaches her to offer comfort, she switches back to laughter with a glare. The person wisely keeps their distance and does not come any closer. Next, the woman pulls out a dirty towel with stains and disappears into her own world, apparently laughing again. I really hope she gets the help she needs, because this seems like some sort of mental episode that needs to be treated fast. She and everyone around her are lucky that this didn't escalate to the point where someone had to physically intervene. A car sees a ghost on the side of the road and pulls over to record. They see nothing but darkness, so they slowly inch forward, scared yet certain something paranormal lies ahead. Looks like they were right.
Hey, macha. Deva macha. Tu you know. Macha. Macha, deva macha. Hey,
They've caught a ghost sighting in their headlights, but not for long as the figure disappears into the night. Suddenly, they are no longer curious about what they saw and only want to get out of there fast. The figure is much taller than the average person and towers over their car. Something tells me they aren't the first travelers to witness this roadside phantom, and they are also probably far from the last for that matter. After experiencing loads of paranormal activity in their home, Redditor as Crumner's son set up a camera to record through the night, and they finally caught something. A strange pillow creature moves rather clumsily near the son's bed at night.
Right here.
Okay, whoop. Rewind it. Bring that back. And then
see,
can
it
we...
just whoops right up. Ready? Watch right here, watch right here.
Whoa,
So
that's
there I am.
already
Yeah,
creepy.
so there I am.
That's
I'm right
already
there.
creepy.
I'm right there.
And then it leaves as mysteriously as it came.
Ready? and then it just goes like...
It yeets
Ready?
back out of existence.
There's my head right there, you can see me moving. And as soon as I
Yeets
moved...
back down,
Did you see how
yeets
as
back
soon as I
down.
moved... As soon as I moved...
Looks like it's leaning in towards you.
Unless that's not
Jesus.
a blanket.
What
Is that like
is
its
this?
skin?
It's hard to tell on the recording what the figure might be. I personally think it looks like a pillow or a blanket, but its behavior is odd to me. Of course, Reddit has fun with this one. I'm not 100% sold on the figure being a skinwalker, as I think there's a chance it could be either a leg or someone under the duvet, and if someone's creeping through the house dressed in blankets, then these guys have got more than paranormal problems to worry about. Malaysian man is determined to rid his home of a spirit that has been haunting his family. After 8 minutes of meditation and recital, a section of the wall begins to move like someone's pressing on it. If it was the wind, then this object moves when it's all the way over here. Shortly afterwards, this strange sighting is caught on camera. It looks like a piece of dust or hair to some. Others see a special island spirit called a pokong that's twisted tightly in white robes. This part could be CGI, but that doesn't explain the object spinning on the floor by itself, away from him and away from any potential breed. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.